So this is going to be another one of those off-the-cuff kind of tutorial deals. I know there's been a couple of questions about Livesplit from the Hollow Knight runners that are kind of new or just getting into it, and I wanted to show everybody that it's not scary. Also, that auto-splitter is not scary. It actually makes your life tremendously easier in Hollow Knight. It's very adaptive, and there's a lot of options there. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and get started on this. You know the extent of my Livesplit experience? Yeah, Colette, it's no big deal. It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about that at all. You know what I think I might want to do? I may want to... No, that's all right. Okay, yeah, so in this, I'm going to have chat up. I'm not going to put it on the screen. You're just going to see my computer screen here. So I may be having conversations that you don't have context for, and that will be from the chat. Okay, so first thing we need to do, first thing I want to point out, actually, is this website right here, which is a really good place to go if you're looking for some written documentation about how to do this. This is how I learned, and this is what I follow. But I am going to show you step by step how to make this work. There are a few things in here that aren't entirely clear, okay? But I do want to point you to this website right here. That might be really small, so let me see if I can't do something to... No, without changing things like crazy. Here's the thing I can do. Here's the thing I can do. Okay. And give me a moment. Try to make this a little bit better for you. Okay. Just opening up WordPad here really quick so I can give you a larger URL to look at. Okay. And that's probably not going to work that way. Let's go with this. We're doing it live. Okay, there you go. Clear as can be, right? That is the URL to speedrun.com's Hollow Knight page that has a bunch of guides and resources, one of them of which is how to do a live split. That's a place you can come back and refer to whenever you need it. Okay. All right, now that we have this up, it also is very nice in that it gives us a Livesplit link. Now, of course, you can just, go ahead and use your favorite search engine. I like to be spied on, so I use Google. Livesplit, there you go. Here's also Livesplit. Downloads. Go to downloads. And first thing, of course, we need to do is download Livesplit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Save the file, wherever your default place is. And I'm going to go ahead and move this here. Okay, so it's on our little desktop here. Okay, next thing. The thing that I had to do is, I don't know how this works for everybody else, but I hold your hand so patiently. No, man, no, it's actually, I remember having to deal with all this crap, and if I have any knowledge to share, I'm happy to do it, so don't even worry about that. But the thing that I noticed is when I got this and I opened it, we got all these things, I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't come with its own folder. It doesn't really tell you what you're supposed to open or anything. Where am I supposed to put this? I tried just doing it. As a matter of fact, let's just try that. Let's extract all of this. To tell you what, I'm gonna invent a new folder here. Let's see if this works, because I'm not even sure if this will work. And I want to try this only because if it works here, that means you can really put it anywhere. So we're gonna extract it to this folder. I just need to do that here. So extract all to desktop, Livesplit, select folder. And did you extract or? Oh wait, I have to actually hit the extract button. There we go. Okay, now we've got all this open in this folder, right? Here's the folder. Just opened it to confirm. Now, all I got to do to start Livesplit is, this is the little Livesplit icon. This is the executable file that we need to use. I do that, and okay, good, actually it opened. Wonderful. So here's Livesplit. This is what it looks like right here. This is the first thing that you get that comes up. It's just basically a little timer. All right. So far, so good. Let me get rid of some of these things. To do this tutorial, I actually uninstalled my own Livesplit because I wanted to make sure it worked. Now, you can put this folder wherever you want it. So, for example, I have a folder I call Twitch Shortcut that I keep on my desktop, and it's just got all my Twitch stuff, right? And I've showed you this before, how I made shortcuts for my Hollow Knight saves, my Hollow Knight app, and everything. Usually, I keep my Livesplit stuff right in here. As you can see, Livesplit's right here. This is all my timer stuff. I'm not going to be using that today, but certainly on this basis, you should be able to do that. Now that we have Livesplit open, we need to know how to work with it. So here's the basic thing. It's just a start-stop timer, right? If I right-click, that gives me all my options. Right now, there's a whole bunch of them. The thing that you want to go to first to get to know Livesplit is Settings. When I open Settings, it will tell you the hotkeys to do things, right? You can, of course, change these to whatever you want. If you didn't want to use auto splitters, this would work just fine. So, for example, I hit 1. Oop, I have to get out of this first. I hit 1, and it starts. I've got a timer. For those that use consoles, right, this is the way that you can do it. So if you're running Hollow Knight on a Switch or something, you can still have this up on your PC somewhere and capture it to OBS or what was the other one called? XSplit or whatever you're using, and you've got a timer, basic timer. No bells, no whistles, just timer. If I want to stop this, I just hit 1 again, and it stops. That's it, start and stop. To know the rest of the things, let's look at settings again, right? And it will tell you what they do. If I wanted to reset the thing, which is a thing I use frequently, and this is what you'd have to use on PC as well, it's number pad 3. What does reset do? Reset turns us back to 0. Okay. However, if you have splits, right, and you had splits that were better than your own database of splits, and you hit that, it's going to say, hey, some of your times are better than the last ones. Do you want to save that? If you do, right, let's say you get gold splits or something, then you press yes. Okay. When you do that, it resets, and I'll show you what I mean by database, and I'm air quoting here, unfortunately, when we get there. But that is an option that comes up. Now, an important thing when it comes to saving, and I can probably talk about this a little bit later, is that is very different than this. Save splits overrides everything in your layout to reflect the thing you just saved, which means if you have a really shitty run, let's say, or you've got a bunch of skips, false golds, and things like that, and you press save, it's going to override your previous splits. And you cannot recover them except for hopefully you're streaming or you're on YouTube. You go back to the VOD or the video and you have to manually enter what those are in the database. So you got to be very careful with this save splits feature right here. As a matter of fact, if you press exit, it's going to ask you, do you want to save your splits? What it's saying is, do you want to save your splits in this way? Okay. It's not the add to the database way, which is what we accomplish when we hit number pad 3 for just reset. Okay, so that's different. This is not really a save. It's an add to the database and then turn this back to 0, as opposed to override all previous data as you see it in the splits, which is save splits. That's the most important part to remember. RPG Jerry informed me of that, and I screwed it up a couple times, even knowing that. So it's an important thing to know. You don't know why there's no pause by default. I guess because most real speedruns don't allow pausing. Yeah, for the most part, that's it. However, if you're practicing, there's certainly no reason you can't have a pause, and there is a pause, right? You can set that to whatever you want it to be. I think I made mine 9, just because I'm sticking to the number pad. I don't use it for anything on Hollow Knight, so it works out. Other things that are important, let's see, you know, you're going along. This is 8, undo split is important, 2 is important, okay? So let's say we start the game. Game started. Okay, we're doing things. Everything's going great. Yeah. Okay, oh, I beat the boss. Oh, wait, no, he's not dead yet. Okay, what do I do? Well, shit. It already split. That's the problem. So now I need to undo that split. And of course, to do that, right, I either need to ignore or undo that split. Usually we need to ignore it, which is skip split. There's no splits on here yet, so we can't look at that, all right? But I would press 2, and that would skip the split, and it would just keep going, okay? on and on and on. It takes some monkeying around if you want to get used to it. It's no big deal, though. There's also a lot of YouTube videos and other videos out there about Livesplit. But what I want to get into now is basically how do you set this up to work on Hollow Knight for PC? Okay. First thing, let's go to the easy part, layout. You can make this look however you want, right? I kind of liked the default layout, and I thought it fit pretty well for Hollow Knight, so I kept it largely that way. But we want a lot of elements on here. We don't want it to just say 0, 0, 0, right? We want it to identify, for example, the name of the game, right? So that we've got all sorts of options here in the layout editor. To add something, right now we just have the timer, okay? To add something, we'd press the plus button. If we want to get rid of something, of course, we'd hit the minus. You can just click on where you want to go, or you can do the up and down thing, okay? And I think this actually will just navigate. We'll try. You can also drag around where you want things to be, but we'll get there. Right now, we just have a timer. If I wanted to know what this timer is all about, I can either click Layout Settings, or I can just double-click Timer. Either way, we get to the same thing. So you see here. Oop, there you go. So this is actually the same thing. This is how it looks. Okay, so this is if you want to change how it looks, including the colors, right? You want to change the colors of when you're ahead, when you're behind, when you're paused, if you got a PB, any of those things. You can actually also rainbow color the segment, so it's kind of a scrolling rainbow. A bunch of different things you can do. And then of course, you know, you've got text changes you can do. I mean, you've got a bunch of things: drop, shadows, anti-aliasing, whatever you want, including opacity. All right. You can also set backgrounds however you want. That can be a color. It can be completely transparent. You can put gradients. You can put an image. As a matter of fact, I do believe that you're able to use what do they call those? Chroma key. So. What? No ditto. I'm sorry, Colette. I don't have all the emote. I try. But this is the color, text, size, and so on. Just make it to your suiting. You can also, of course, just leave it default. You want a simple timer. Timer is where we start getting kind of important. Okay, in Hollow Knight, most of the runs are done on the basis of loadless times, as opposed to actual times. Actual times would be I press start, no matter what happens, how long it takes things to load. If something crashes, it does not matter. That timer keeps going. Timer keeps going on, right? In loadless, the timer will compensate. In other words, it will pause whenever your PC is loading something. And why is this important? If you're speed running on a PC, your PC may be different than my PC, may be different than their PC, right? They may have like a ultra high spec, hardcore, freaking, 2080 Ti RTX craziness and quad channel blah 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 with 5,000 megs of memory. All right. Whereas me over here, I've got I'm chilling on my first generation Intel 260 with with like half a stick of RAM that barely works. Which means basically their load times are going to be far shorter than my load times. That's not fair in a speedrun environment, right? That does not speak to the skill of the player. It speaks to the skill of the PC. So we want loadless, okay? Here, it's this easy, right? We can go by real time, which is just like a clock that you have on your desk. It's just going to say, okay, we started at 5, we ended at 6. Or game time, which is going to say, pause the timer whenever the game is in a load state. In other words, when you have no control over the character. Okay, so that's what we want there. Now, usually we kind of want both. Okay, this is the real time timer. Okay, right now I don't know that. It doesn't tell me what's going on here, so we have to adjust some layout things. First of all, let's just give the whole thing information, title. What is this thing? Let's see. Well, title's going to go up here, and is this it? I think I might be wrong. I think it's just text. Again, this is going to be awkward at places because it's been a while since I've done this. No, that's not what I want. I want to add. Let me go through here and look. Timer, list, lots of splits. I thought it was title. Could just be text. Let me see here. Current run title, run category, and game icon. Oh, okay, yeah. I haven't loaded the splits yet, so I don't have it in here. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to jump forward, and we're just going to do the auto splitter part first because it'll make sense when we're trying to do the layout. Okay. To get to the auto splits, go anywhere on the timer, right click. We got all these splits things right here. So this is all about splits. This is all about layout. We want the splits. Okay. Right now, we don't really have any. We need to create them. So click Edit Splits. You get this box. Okay. This box is a rather important box. This is how we're actually going to get the auto splitter. It's extremely easy to use an auto splitter. All you got to do is click on this game name thing here, right? And see, I just typed in Hollow Knight, right? Configurable load remover auto splitter by Devil Squirrel, who keeps this thing updated as AF. So as fuck. He's on it. Okay. I've got this in here. All I got to do is hit activate. Activated. Okay. We now have auto splitter. Now we need to set this thing up. Okay. To do that, we go to settings. Okay. You can also put the run category. This is for the title, right? So Colette, for what you're doing, you probably want to select any percent, right? And now that'll come into our title. But we need to now specify the splits we're going to be using. A couple caveats on this. The first thing is you have to have defeated the game 100% at least once. The reason being is that Devil Squirrel's auto splitter doesn't know when to start or stop, beginning to end, unless you have the Steel Soul mode enabled. Okay, so and that basically means you have to have beaten the game and gained access to Steel Soul. So you have to have a save file that has that for it to work. Okay, so that's the thing you got to remember. Now in here we've got this. Let's set up our splits. I hit settings, and here's our splits. Okay, right now there's nothing. We need to add a split. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Colette, what's the first thing that you'd say that you get in your run, in your any percent, Jerry percent run? Or what would you say is the first major milestone you'd like to have a time for? We could do Fury of the Fallen. It's in here. Okay? Lots of stuff. These are all auto splits. Okay? Now, I got to find Fury of the Fallen, and that's actually, just because I've had to do this before, I know that's going to be down here in Charms. Here's all the Charms. Right? Fury of the Fallen. There's the first thing that we got. I have now added Fury of the Fallen as the first split. That should be automatic. Okay? What's the next thing that you do after Fury of the Fallen? I have a feeling I know what it is, but False Knight, yep, I was right. Okay, now we need to put in a False Knight. So I need to go down to the bosses down here. We got False Knight. Bam, there's False Knight. And then we can just keep going. Add split, probably, let me think here. This is going to be a skill. And where are you? Vengeful Spirit, there we go. Right? You go talk to the witch, you get Vengeful Spirit. Okay? It's Vengeful Spirit. So we're good there. You keep going. Let's say the next thing is probably going to be Hornet. So let's go find Hornet. Hornet 1. Okay, the first time you fight Hornet. There's Hornet. Oop, nope, I didn't add the split. I screwed it up. So let me go back and get that skill. Ooh, yeah, Aura and Motto. That's what I want. Let me get the skill, Vengeful Spirit. I need to, again, add a split, and now I need to go down and find Hornet. Who's the boss? Hornet 1 in specific. Okay? And we go on. We just continue this way, all the way through it. You can customize this however you want. It doesn't matter. There is no set pattern or route. You get to be the one that chooses it. But now that we have all these things in here, the one thing that you need to do, okay, is you have to set the endpoint. The endpoint is always going to be, as far as, well, I don't know that now with 112. I think that radiance has been set. Absolute radiance has been set also as an endpoint. But for any percent, all you need is, let me go my bosses here. It is, and this is a thing that I had to like figure out, and I was kind of curious about. See where it says Hollow Knight Dream Nail boss? Okay, that's going to stop at Hollow Knight or Radiance, depending on how far you go in the regular game. But you have to have an endpoint. That's the important part. You have to have this endpoint. Okay, so now that I got all these in here, I hit OK. And of course, you'd want to fill in all your splits, however many you want. Now the problem is, it will not register the splits because it doesn't know what splits are going on. We have to fill that in here for them. At minimum, we need to put a segment name and have the right number of splits for the game. Okay? So let's go back to settings and see how many we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So 1, insert below, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, first one was, we'll just call it Fury. And by the way, you can call the segment names whatever you want. Second one, because it already knows on the basis of your sequence here what that split is. So Fury's the first one. Maggot Knight is the second one. Fireball is the third one. My Girl is the fourth one. And HK, we'll just call them, okay? So now I got all these. Now I got actually the splits. These will automatically fill in as I play the game. Okay? Another thing you can do, of course, is insert an icon. So you go find whatever icon you want to include. It doesn't have to be specifically an icon. It can be any image, right? Any JPEG or GIF or anything. I don't think motion GIFs work in this, but any JPEG, you can just, click it, put it in here. To do that, you just double click on this. It's going to automatically try to take me to Livesplit, right wherever I have my Livesplit in my Hollow Knight file. And then you direct it to the place where you're storing the images. And you see I've got a bunch of them here, right? That's not what I use, though. I have HK icons for all my splits icons, right? And I got these off the wiki, right? And you can actually put in the icons there. So I do not have a Fury one. So that can be Trampass. I do have a False Knight. No, yeah, I do. I have a False Knight, so let me put that in there. Fireball, and you just double click. Vengeful. Oh yeah, this one's a transparent GIF, I think. Somewhere. Oh no, it isn't. Vengeful Spirit. There you go. My Girl. Where you at, girl? Hornet. And HK. Thought he was up here. Oh yeah, here he is. Okay. There's Hollow. All right, so now we got some fancy little pictures on there. Okay. We've got all these things. This is all good. Start timer at, you want to start it at 0. Some games, right, for Livesplit, you need to actually have negative time while it leads into it. I know Soten's that way. HK, you don't have to worry about that. Hollow Knight's fine. Attempts is the number of times that you've tried a run. Okay, so for like, if you start and the Vengefly screws you up and you restart, this is going to add 1 to attempts. Okay, that is separate from the actual completed runs, which is here. In this stuff, clear history, actually, I think is what it is. So let's not worry about that right now. We've got our basic split setup for this. I'm going to click OK. Nothing has changed here, though, right? We have to actually add stuff in the layout to reflect that. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. List, splits. Hey, look at that. Splits. What do you know? These are all hyphened out, only because we've never done a run yet. Now, I, of course, would prefer my timer is on the bottom. That's my own preference. Other things that I want, I definitely would like a title, please. And I want that to be on top here. So there's my title, right? I've got those going on. Right now, the timer is just set to current timing, but I want it to be game time. Okay, let's do that. I don't need this many number of splits. I can actually go into splits and say how many I want it to show. So where it says total splits 8, what I actually want is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's just make this 5. Okay. Boink. Okay. That's the beginning of the end. You can do a bunch of things in here too. Like you can change how it splits in terms of rows. That actually makes it 2 rows instead of 1. I prefer 1. It's just cleaner. It's right next to each other. Separators, you can do layout things just like you could in the other layout settings. There's a bunch of shit in here for you to play with. You can also do the comparison. You can go after the comparisons on this, which is down here, I believe. Yeah. So where it says current comparison, you can say, hey, I want you to compare against personal best segments, or average segments. I believe current comparison just means that if you go into settings here, let me get this closed. If you go into settings here, you can have the compare againsts. And basically, if you have that set to the current comparison and you select one of these, it's going to automatically change everything to that comparison. The idea. Okay. You can also notice, you can also set it to real time or game time down here in terms of comparisons. So, and this might take some dorking around on my part to make sure it works, but we are going to test this out. This is the basics of it. You definitely can go in here and play with a ton of stuff in the layout, right? I mean, there's tons of things you can do in here. You can add more text if you want. You can add horizontal bars. You can change the title up here. You know, move things around however you want. You can give titles to actually what these columns are about. Let me think if I remember how to do that. Yeah, see, so show column labels. I click that. Now I got time and whatever, plus and minus and time. Let's say I was always comparing against my PB. I'd probably replace time with PB. PNB, PB. Okay, there you go. So now we got a PB. Right here, it's showing the number of attempts. You may or may not want that. You can change that by double-clicking on the title, and you'll see show attempt count. You can turn that off if you want. That's not a problem. You can do other things. You can show regions, platforms, whatever, if it's in there. Finished runs count and attempt count, that's what I use, just so people can see how ridiculous I am and masochistic and so on. If it's got a game icon, it will display it, right? The Hollow Knight thing does not come with one, it looks like, so we've got that. But here's a basic timer. I like to show the real time and the load list time. To do that, you can do a couple things. Let's look at a detailed timer. Notice this one's different. It shows a couple of different times. Okay, I don't want the title right there though. Okay, detailed timer. On the detailed timer, it shows two comparisons. So we're gonna have a current comparison, best segments, and also you'll have a timing method. In this case, I make that real time. You can change the colors however you want. Right now it's just all gray. Right, and current comparison, best segments, that's fine. Again, you can always go to the documentation. Oh, it's not a hassle at all, Colette, and I'll show you why in just a sec. All right, but I want to try this out and let's see if it works. Now, if everything works as it's supposed to, let me go back to my real time. So top one should be game time, bottom one should be detailed real time. And actually, I would probably have these things changed around. So let me do that in game time. I want that current comparison, then best segments on that. And then for the regular timer, I want this just real time. Okay, I'm going to move these around. I'm going to also, I think, so we don't get confused here. Let me put some text in. Okay, I'm going to put text here. This one's going to be, we'll call this, if all what works well. Okay, loadless T, exactly. Time loadless. Okay, and let's add another text. So information text above this timer, and we'll call this real time. Both capped. Real time. Okay, that lowercase loadless is gonna drive me crazy. There, better. Okay, so we've got some differentiation now. We know that one is the time of our speed run, accounting for loads. The other one is just the clock starts. I don't like how the real time is really large and the load list is smaller in terms of the timers. So I want to change that. Where are you? Decimals. Oh yeah, I forgot that too. You can change to how many places you want this to go all the way to hundredths. I don't remember where that is though. It's somewhere around here. Down here? Yeah, right, to hundredths, tenths, seconds, however you want to do it. I think for mine, I keep it to tenths. Doesn't matter, we'll just keep that exactly as it is right now. Let me see here. There we go. Now there's an override layout settings to change the color. God, where's the font size? There, the size I am not seeing. Yeah, here we go. Size 12. Let's try that. No, that wasn't it. Oh, that's segment labels. I don't care about that. Go back to, what was it, 8? 10. It was 10. 10. Okay. I'm getting beat by the... Okay, yeah, so here's the timing formats and all that. Is it just this? There should be a way to... Oh, that's just the decimal places. Yeah. Is it in here? Timer. Decimal font size, timer format. I thought if I click this, it changes things. Background color, height. That's just format. That's just centering. Well, shit. Somewhere around here you can override stuff. Make it any size you want. I'd love to know where that is. I am not remembering it. Timer. That's just color. Height? Yeah, that's height is a thing, but it doesn't do exactly what I'm looking for it to do. Oh, duh, segment timer size. There you go. I can kind of change things like that. So let's do that, and then the real time. Background color. Font. Choose. 10. Okay. That not doing it? 8. Wait, that do things? Oh no, that's just... Yeah, that's just that. I need the timer. Oh, duh. Timer. Is this driving you crazy yet? I know it's driving me crazy. Height? Oh yeah, it's height. Okay, so let's shrink that down a little bit. Height is the thing that controls its size. Okay, we got all this crap. Now, what we have to do is actually test this puppy out. So I'm going to do a couple things here. Let me actually pull up Hollow Knight. It'll take just a second. I need to change a couple of settings. And I'm not using my headphones, so we might get some double sound. Unless I can change the system sounds. I might be able to. Okay, I just made it really quiet. Give me just a second to change settings so I can fit it all on this screen. Okay, we'll go to English. Sorry you guys can't see this. It's my monitor below is a 3440, so it's really massive compared to my 1080 monitor just above it. So I gotta change its size so it will fit. Let's go to this. Okay. All right, you should be able to see this guy now. Okay. So you got this this dude here. This would just be a Windows capture in OBS, so it would appear in whatever you're doing. But right now you're just going to be able to see it as though you'd see it on your screen as you're playing. Hopefully, if everything works correctly. Now, one of the things, I need to save all this. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to save the layout as. I'm just going to do this onto my desktop for now. Okay, I'll call this test. You would want to save it someplace that's going to be, you know. Put this here, you know, set to a safe spot. You don't want to lose your splits. So I'll call this test as well. Okay. All right. So one is the layout, one is the splits. We got all that safe now. One of the things I noticed about this game is if you open Livesplit before you open the game, Livesplit will likely not work in terms of being automatic. If you open the game and then open Livesplit, it tends to work. And let's see, Luke says, you can download pre-built splits and layouts if you find ones that match or are close to what you want. Absolutely. They kind of exist all over the internet, and there's nothing wrong with that. I actually considered that as well, but I really wanted to have my own style with my layout. So I tried to learn this. But certainly that's an option. There's lots of pre-made splits out there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Saves time for you, that's for sure. Okay, I need to reopen Livesplit really quick, so let me do that. Again, just go to my Livesplit folder, open that up. It's always going to go back to the last thing that it had. Okay, let me grab my controller and click on the game. Let's see if this works. Absolutely get rid of that crap file. Notice I got steel. Now, if all works well, we should see the timer start running. I hope. There it goes. Okay. And notice, right? Just gonna take the bonk. We're gonna run through a little bit of this. So you can see it actually work. I need to get Fury, so that's where we're going. Just get through here. God, there's latency problems like crazy right now. I've got to be like half a millisecond behind in my inputs. I will not be doing anything fancy. I just need to get to Fury without dying. Okay. My computer's like, why are you doing it this resolution? What's wrong with you? I'm not going to actually go to the door. I'm just going to go to the Fury and let's see if this split activates. I will not be pressing any buttons. I'm not pressing one on the number pad or anything. If it works correctly, it should just say, hey, you just got Fury. And it did. Okay? Now, what happens to the load this time when I quit the menu? It stops. Okay? It just recognized, oh, actually, it didn't quit. Why aren't you quitting? Oh, because I am in control. I have control. That's right. Whenever you have control, the timer is going to run. It's only when, like, there's nothing I can do right now. The system is locked in load, right? Duh, of course. If whenever you have active control, be that through a menu or whatever, the timer's going to run. Okay? So you saw it there working. Right? Notice how the load this timer pauses and then starts again now that I have control. One more time. I don't have control there. I don't have control here. I now have control when it starts timing me again. There it goes. Okay? So that's how that works. All right, let's say I'm all done with that. Now, eventually, the one thing that you cannot manually do is going to be Hollow Knight. That's going to automatically take care of itself. The last split in almost all auto splitters will do that. But let's say, okay, I'm done. Yay, I did a good job. Yay for me. Oop. No, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to do that. So I need to undo that split, which is 9? No, 2. Nope, that's skip a split. 8, 8. Okay, it's because I screwed that up. I hit 3, and it's like, oh, dude, your times are wonderful. Would you like to update them? No, I would not. That is the basics of the auto split. Hopefully that wasn't too bad, but that was it. That was it. That's all you got to do. Screw with your layout all you want. Go to the internet and find what you would like. Let's see here what we got in chat. I kind of like messing with the splits. Oh yeah, I wish I could use the vertical layout, but I don't want to get rid of bean or chat on screen. And you could totally change this to layout to vertical and all that. I don't actually remember where it is in here, but you can do that. Layout settings somewhere. Oh wait, no. Or is it just this thing? Since I never do it, it's like I feel like I should know where it is, but I don't. I know you can. I saw you use horizontal for Mario for sure. But you were saying, oh my god, you just killed all your splits, Crotron. Why would you do that? Well, I got good news. I got really good news. I've got my splits saved over here, so we can I can show you what this looks like when I load them. Okay, so here we got all this. I go to my live split. It is not basic timer, it is full. It is full. And I am using the splits right now, so I need to open the splits file. No, do not update anything. Right, so here's all my splits, right, and my times. But the layout's all messed up. That's not my layout. That's not a problem. All I gotta do is go to my layout, open layout, from file. And Twitch shortcut, because that's where I keep them, in my saves, etc. In the live split, and this is again full. And there's my timer that I made. so there you go. Let's see here. I think it should I think it should slot right in above HK. Like up here, are you talking like if this is your OBS layout, you mean like up here? Because you can certainly do that. I just really wish I remember how to make these things vertical. Got to be in here somewhere. Oh, duh, horizontal. There you go. There's the button. It's a radio button. So yeah, it's still my splits, but in vertical form. I'm sorry, horizontal form. I like vertical. If you want to look at here, let me show you what this looks like with all the full splits and everything. Okay, so this has got my attempts. It's got my category. It's got where my timer should start, of course, and here's all my splits, right? And it will keep track of this. Now on the back end, there's a bunch of numbers in this spreadsheet basically that it keeps track of, so I can have averages, and that's nice to have too, right? Real time, game time, which is the one we're most concerned about, right? That's my 321.12, my own PB. And in additional info, there's pretty much not much here, but you can actually associate this whole thing with speedrun.com to submit it if that's a thing you want to do. There's other ways, and it depends on the community and what they want. Always go with what the community wants in terms of submissions. Don't rely on this. All right. There that is. Let's see here. I think the two things to really remember with Livesplit is that splits are separate from layouts, yes, and splits and times are not the same thing. That is correct. That is correct. So each one of this is a split. This is just a split is a sequence of sub goals in order to get to a big goal. Think of it that way. The time, right, is how long it takes to achieve that goal. Right? So a split is not the time itself. A split is the container of the time. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it from my end. Let me think here. You can, of course, set this up without autosplitter. To do that, you just don't, you don't enter the game into here. You don't have to enter the game into here. And then it will just be a basic timer. It's not going to be looking for anything. You just have to use your whatever you set your start and stop to be to make it work. Where's my settings? Oh yeah, you can also control it from here, but it's easier to do this. Right? Actually, I have no pause either. There you go. So yeah. Boop. And of course, there is, yeah, I forgot to mention this. I haven't used it, so I know nothing about it, but there is an OBS plugin that makes it so you can just, have automatically a source called Livesplit that's in there, I believe. So, okay, let me see here. Got a question. Is there a way to copy the splits from the autosplit selections to the Livesplit splits? You mentioned there was a way you didn't have to kind of do it twice. So what we're talking about here is if I go to settings, we're talking about, takes a second to open, there we go. We're talking about just moving this, having this automatically go into there, into the actual splits here. No, not that I'm aware of. I think you have to, it's basically gonna take every one of these rows and associate it in the same order. So row 1 in here is going to associate with row 1 in here, okay? Row 2 to row 2, row 3 to row 3, and so on. But you can't really have it automatically go, okay, just transfer all this stuff over into this, as far as I'm aware. I don't know, ordered splits, I wonder what that would be. Kind of want to press it, but I kind of don't. I'm going to press it. I don't know what this means, but this might have something to do with it. I think it just might be the setting of something here. I don't know. But an easier way to do it, though, is if okay, I want Vengeful Spirit, you can just, select this thing, Control-C, go over here, Control-V, and so on. Okay. The splits are always, always, always going to listen to this window here, to component settings. It does not care. Oh, I just close this. It does not care about this window in the splits editor, right? So the first thing it's going to be looking for is Vengeful Spirit, right? So let's say that we had these backwards and it was Mothwing Cloak first and then Vengeful Spirit. You can get Vengeful Spirit. It's not gonna go after I'm sorry, it's not going to split at Vengeful Spirit because it's waiting for Mothwing Cloak before you get Vengeful Spirit, if that makes sense. So you just want to make sure that these are in the correct order. If they're not, you're going to know pretty quick in a run. I have done that myself. I have personally done that. So. Okay. Cancel. Cancel. Boop. You're good. And middle scroll wheel lets me go through all this. It's customizable to whoever you want to do it to. Everyone's a little bit different about what they're looking for. Okay. Let me make sure I don't want to miss anything here. Import in the import comparison button, maybe? Never mind about the comparison, wrongful thinking. Okay. Yeah, I am by no means an expert. It's just, this is kind of what I had to figure out to make it function for me when I'm doing runs. There's tons more stuff to this program. And of course, it's the golden standard, so, you know, it's a good thing to have around. I want to see something. If I exit this, is it going to ask me to save? It did not. Good. Because again, you want to be very careful about those saves. But I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any other questions, just go ahead and hit me up. Luke, Colette, whoever. You know, you got contact wherever you're seeing this, you know, so DM me or whatever. If I can help, I'm happy to. And again, I want to direct everybody to the Hollow Knight speedrun.com page under guides. It's down here, how to live split and auto split for newbies by Fireborn. Okay? We got plenty of things here. And it's not huge or anything, but it's the basics. It's the basics. Right? In fact, Fireborn says if everything worked out, you may decide next decide to liven up your live split by making changes to layouts and so on. It's the same thing. All right, and with that, I think I am going to call this tutorial concluded. Thank you very much, and I will see you around. Das Vidania.